Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's NCVER webinar, Accessing and Understanding Data Trends Through Visualization. I'm Martin Smolka. I'm a data analyst in the Data Services and Reporting branch here at NCVER, and in this webinar I'll be showing two of our data visualization products, International Vet Students and the Atlas of Total Vet. So before we get started, I'll quickly run through some housekeeping. To the right of your screen, you should see the control panel where you can select audio mode and ask questions. We invite you to submit questions in writing using the questions panel at any time throughout the presentation, and for privacy reasons, only we are able to see your questions. We will acknowledge all questions either during the Q&A at the end of today's webinar or afterwards via email. So as I mentioned, the two visualization products are called International Vet Students and the Atlas of Total Vet. Both products are freely available from the NCVER portal and present data in an interactive dashboard that will allow you to customize and filter the data on the screen. And I'll be showing you how to navigate each of them. And show you the different data that's available, and then provide you with examples of how you can customize and filter the data to meet your needs. So the data presented in these tools is based on total vet activity. This covers all onshore and offshore nationally recognised vet activity delivered by Australian registered training organisations, and reports on students who undertook vet on a government-funded or a fee-for-service basis. So although these tools are both based on the total vet activity, each has a different perspective and presents the data in different ways and with different functionality to help you meet your research needs. So as you can see, the International Vet Students is a snapshot of TVA by domestic and international students and their delivery location of training. There's up to 6 years of data about students, program enrolments, subject enrolments and completions. And it also includes completion rates and international onshore vet qualification and completer outcomes. A mapping resource, the Atlas of Total Vet, that's a mapping resource which provides detailed TVA information by geographic region at the state and territory level down to the statistical area level 2 of the Australian Statistical Geography Standard. And so this one's got 5 years of data about students, program enrolments, subject enrolments and completions, with a focus on students that reside in Australia. So I'll now go to the NCVER portal and show you how to access these products. Just bear with us for a minute. Sorry about that. Thanks for wading through that. And I'll scroll down through to the visualization gallery over here and click on that. And as you can see, there are a number of different products here, including the two that we're going to be looking at. The Atlas of Total Vet is here. And if I scroll down a little bit further, we've got International Vet Students over here. So I'm going to start off by showing you the International Vet Students visualization. So This is the landing page and provides us with an overview of the data, as well as some of the general information about the dashboard itself. There are a couple of ways to get started, and you can use the menus at the top here to navigate through, or you can also use these links on the left-hand side to select the visualization page that you want. So I'll start off with students. So if I click on the Students tab up here, that'll take me to the Students page. So the first thing you'll notice at the top here, we've got some years that we can select, with 2020 being set by default. It's the most recent data available we have at the moment. The 2021 data for TVA is expected to be available in August. So if you want to be notified when it's released, you can subscribe to NCVER News via the NCVER portal. Over to the left here, we've got some checkboxes. So for student status, we've got whether it's an international or domestic student. And below that, we've got the location of delivery training locations, and that's whether it's onshore, offshore, or a mixed combination. So at the moment, all of these checkboxes are selected. And so we're currently looking at the sort of total vet activity picture. To view only the data for international students, I'm going to unselect the domestic checkbox. And then we can see that the data changes on screen. So if we look at the chart for age by gender, we can see that the vast majority of students are in the age group from about 34 years and younger. And on the table below, we can see that the majority of international students are having their training delivered in New South Wales and Victoria. Now, there's some brackets here that says you can double click on the bar for some additional information. So for charts in this visualization that have that, you can double click, say for example, New South Wales, and you'll be presented with some additional information. So we can see here we've got about 40,000 males and 35,500 females. And it also provides another split by the age group. In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the data by study mode. So that's whether the training is full-time or part-time. And on the right-hand side here, we've got the top 30 countries of birth. So this is a list that shows the largest number of international students were born in India. Now, if I go back to 2016, we can see that that's changed, and that was China back in 2016. So next, I'll have a look at program enrolments. So we can see that the information provided is slightly different. We've got the provider type here, so that's whether the program enrolments were delivered at TAFE institutes, universities, schools, community education providers, etc. We've got the state and territory of the delivery location. And we also have the program level of education and the program field of education. So for this example, I'm going to select only international onshore training activity. So I'm going to get rid of the domestic and remove offshore and mixed. So we can see here that the vast majority of international onshore program enrolments were at private training providers. there's about 240,000 there, and they were mostly at the diploma or higher level, with about 140,000, and that a large majority of those were in the management and commerce field of education. So I'm going to talk about exporting data. If I want to get information out of this dashboard, I do have a few options. Whenever you hover over one of these charts, you do get these little options on the right-hand side here. And if I click on these three dots, I'm presented with three options. Save image, if I click that, will actually save a image file of just this chart to my downloads folder on my computer. Clicking on print object, I select that. It will print this to PDF, so it's not currently going to print it to my printer. It's just going to generate a PDF file and save it to my downloads folder, just of this one chart. And finally, I can share the object. And this sharing option allows you to basically copy this link here and use it in another place. So for example, you could copy this link and then paste that into an email and send it to one of your colleagues to show them this data visualization. You can also expand the charts by using this double arrow. And as you can see, it's expanded the chart to full screen, and it's also provided a table below with some additional information in just a different way of looking at the data. So now looking at subject enrolments, we have the provider type again, state and territory of training organisations head office. So that's where it's a little bit different from the previous slide. So this is where the registered training organisation has its head office located. We have the load pass rate. So that's the ratio of hours studied by students who pass their subjects to the total hours committed by students who passed, failed, or withdrew from their corresponding subjects. We also have the delivery type. So that's whether the training was delivered, for example, internal only, so on campus, external only, and then a combination of other modes. And then there's also the subject result. So that's whether the subjects have been passed, failed, withdrawn, etc. So I'm going to filter the dashboard for offshore only data. So going over to the location of training delivery, I'm going to untick the offshore button. So now we're only looking at training activity that's offshore. And we can see that the vast majority is delivered at TAFE institutes in 2020 that had their state and territory of head office located in Victoria. It's a good time to point out that even though the dashboard is looking at 1 year at a time, it can still be used to compare data across years to find insights. So for example, by comparing 2019 to 2020, we can see a clear drop in the number of subjects being delivered internally in 2019. So I'm going to put onshore back on, so looking at all of TVA again. If I go to 2019, we can see down here that internal only there were about 15.5 million subject enrolments, in 2019 and about 2.6 million external only in 2019. And if we skip forward to 2020, we can see that's dropped for internal only to about 13.5 million. And for external only, that's increased to about 3.2 million. And there were also increases in other modes of delivery where external delivery was included. So this leads on to the next slide, which presents subject enrolments by their country of delivery. So on this page, we are only looking at the subject enrolments where the delivery location is offshore. So in other words, Australia is not included as a country of delivery in this data. So this table here allows you to filter the various countries. So if I was to select New Zealand, you can see that most of the training activity is occurring within private training providers and at the Certificate 4 level. And we can compare that with South Korea, where most of the training activities in TAFE institutes and at the diploma or higher level. I'm going to briefly look at program completions now. This screen is very similar to the program enrolments. Just a couple of things to note. The location of delivery is not available for this visualization. There's a note here which talks about the data. So for 2020, the completions are preliminary, and this will increase when the data is updated later this year in 2021. Moving on to the program completion rates. So although this is only a single column chart, you can still provide valuable information for your research. So here we can see that the actual completion rate for international students is 64.2% in 2016, which is the latest year where observed actual completion rates are available. So rates for the three most recent years, 2017, 18 and 19, are all projected to take into account the different length of time it takes for students to complete a qualification. So projected rates become more accurate over the years until they become actual observed rates in the fourth year. You can find more information out about this here in the note on the left, or also on the NCVER portal. Finally, here we have the International Onshore Vet Qualification Completers visualization. So on this page, this is for onshore vet qualification completers only, so you don't have the option of selecting whether the students are onshore or offshore. The data is based on the 2021 National Student Outcomes Survey and its additional component, the 2021 International Vet Qualification Completer Outcomes. So the visualization is slightly different, and because of the fact that we can't select a delivery location, everything here is onshore, and you can see that's again mentioned up there in the title. So there's various information available on this visualization, such as the employment status, the barriers to employment, and the satisfaction with training as well. And we can see here that there are 64.1% of international onshore vet qualification completers that reported an improved employment status after training. And that's compared with 60.6% for all domestic vet qualification completers. So that completes our look at the International Vet Students tool. As you've seen, there's a large amount of very useful information contained within it. It's easy to navigate and use, and it's also a very good place to start for anyone doing research on international and domestic vet students. So next I'll be showing you the Atlas of Total Vet. So I'll go back to the NCVER homepage. So to access the Atlas of Total Vet, we can either go to the visualization gallery like we did before, or we can search for the Atlas using this search bar here. So if I type in Atlas of Total Vet and then click on that one, we'll load that up. So as soon as we load the page, you can see that it's also in a dashboard style, like the International Vet Students visualization. Again, this dashboard presents data for total vet activity for students that reside in Australia. It does have a 5-year time series of data on this page, but all other pages, you'll only have 2020, which is currently the most recent data we have for TVA. We have a map here, I'll scroll down, which allows us to select the different statistical areas for Australia. And we also have the option of using these filter menus to select the statistical areas as well. We can see that in 2020, we have 2.3 million program enrollments, 687,000 program completions, 3.4 million students, and 22.5 million subject enrollments. So now I'm going to demonstrate the functionality using the map. So I'm going to select Victoria. So just using my mouse, I'm going to click on the state of Victoria and then apply that change using the green tick. So as you can see, that's changed the data that we have on screen, and it's also applied Victoria to our filter here, and it's also included a tab up the top here in this menu to say that we are filtering all the data on screen by Victoria. So using the mouse, I can scroll further in, and the next available option here is the statistical area level 4. So I'm going to select Melbourne West, and then I'm going to select the SA3 of Wyndham and the SA2 of Wyndham Vale. So you can see here there are 4,300 students in this SA2 in 2020. If I want to go back a step and view the SA3 or SA4, I can just refine that by clicking these X buttons to clear that selection, and that will take me back to the SA4. I can also make multiple selections of statistical areas if needed and group them up for analysis. So to do that, I'll go back to this view of Victoria and then scroll in and select Melbourne West and also Melbourne Northwest. And so now all the data on screen is being filtered by those two SA4 regions together. Another way to find statistical areas is by using these filter buttons here. So I'm going to clear everything and use an example using Western Australia. So if I click on this, I'm presented with this list of states. I can then click on Western Australia. I'm going to click on Perth Inner, Perth City. And then for the SA2, I'm going to select all of these except for Perth City. So you can see that we do have a good degree of control over the statistical areas we want to select, especially if there's a very specific geographic area that we need to look at. So next we can see there's a group of drop-down menus at the top here that just sit above the dashboard. These allow you to change the focus and present different types of information. For example, students, program enrollments, program completions, and subject enrollments. The page I'm currently on is trends, which is highlighted in green. So I'll go through some of these to show you what information is available. So students has two options here. It has all, which is like a high level overview of the data, or by gender. I'm going to click on the all option. And as you can see, it provides some detailed information about student characteristics, including the language other than English spoken at home, previous highest education level, age group, disability status, and the Indigenous status. So the Atlas of Total Vet also allows you to filter the data by any of the charts or tables on screen. So for example, I'll select South Australia. And I'll zoom in and select Adelaide, Central and Hills. So now if I wanted to filter this data only for ages 15 to 19 and 20 to 24, I can click on those two in this age group chart and apply. And then all of the data in this table will be filtered by those selections. You can also see up the top here, there's a tab that says age, and it's showing that we have 2 of 7 age groups filtering this visualization. Now to get rid of this, I can just click on the X button like that. To export data from this Atlas of Total Vet, we just choose a chart and right click on it, and then we are presented with 3 different options. So it's very similar to the International Vet Students. We can export the chart as an image, so that's just taking a picture of the chart and saving it to your downloads folder. Export to PDF, that's just a PDF version of this chart, saved to your downloads folder, or you can click on export data. This one's a little bit different to International Vet Students. So what happens is you will download an Excel table of the data that sits behind this chart. So you can then use that to do further analysis. So I'll also have a brief look at some of the other pages at the top of the screen. We have program enrollments, which has all. So that's, again, that's the high level overview of all the data. And then there's more information by the type of training. So whether it's training package qualifications or skill sets, accredited qualifications or accredited courses. Program completions, it's very similar. There's an all option, and then by type of training. And subject enrollments is slightly different. There's an all high-level overview. You can view the data by subjects delivered as part of a nationally recognised program, or subjects not delivered as part of a nationally recognised program, and you can also look at the data by the statistical area of the training delivery. So I'll now go back and have a look at program enrollments, and I'll click on all and have a look at a high-level overview. So we can see here it provides the data by the type of training, program name, and occupation, and also the field of education. What I'm going to do now is change to the training package qualifications view to show you the difference between these options. So we'll click up here to program enrollments and then training package qualifications. And I'll show you how we can use the filters just to help you hone in on some of the key points within the data. So for example, here I'll select Queensland and then scroll in, and I'm going to select the Cairns SA4. So you can see that the most popular training package here is the community services training package. Now, if I click on that, I'll filter all the other tables in this visualization just for those programs within the package. So you can see now in this program name table, all of those are within the community services package. We can continue to drill down into the data and select more options if we want to. And in this case, I'll put the focus on the occupation and I'll select aged and disabled carers. So we can see there's 160 program enrollments in the Cairns SA4 for aged and disabled carers, and they're in 2 programs, Certificate 4 in Aging Support and Certificate 4 in Mental Health. So it's also possible to use a search function in this dashboard whenever you have a table like these two. I'm going to get rid of these filters. So even though you can't see it on this program name table on the right, there's approximately 1,400 programs in here. So if we know what type of course we're looking for, we can search for it by clicking on this little magnifying glass here. I'm going to search for a code that I know, which is CHC 50113. So that's the Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care. And by selecting it, we can filter all the data just for that one program. Alternatively, we can also just do a word search. So if I type a word in like visual, you can see that the list is returning a number of different programs that have the word visual in them. So for example, there's a lot of programs here which are certificates in visual arts. I'm going to briefly look at program completions. This is very similar. As you can see, it displays the data by type of training, field of education, and the level of education. I'm going to move on to subject enrolments now and look at the high level overview. So we've got some very useful data here, including the delivery mode. We've got the unit of competency. We've got an area level load pass rate. We've got the funding source and also the subject result. So I'll build an example using Tasmania. So we'll select Tasmania from the filter up here. And I'll select Hobart. So we can see in the units of competency table, there are a lot of units near the top relating to health with these HLT prefixes. Now, if I was to select external only delivery mode, we can see that that changes. And now the most popular unit of competency is within the construction, plumbing and services package. And we can also see others such as those beginning with BSB, which belong to the business services training package. There are also some buttons here that give you some more control over the dashboard. Up the top in this bar. So this is the clear all selections button, which resets all the information on the dashboard. There's a step back and step forward button. So they basically operate like an undo and a redo button. And there's also a smart search here, which I'll demonstrate. So that's another way of searching for statistical areas. I can hit the clear all selections button. Now, if I click on smart search and I start just typing, say, for example, the word Darwin, it's going to search all the data available in the visualization, and I've got 3 options here. So if I wanted to, I could go straight to the statistical area level 2, which is the lowest level option, and by double clicking that, it will apply that straight away to our screen. Finally, there's a tab at the end here, which is a technical notes tab. It's got some information about the data that you can use if you need more detail, or you can also use it for as details for your own references. So that completes the demonstration of the Atlas of Total Vet. As you can see, it's a very good data visualization dashboard. You have a good control over a wide range of information. And the addition of the map to provide a visual link to those statistical areas around Australia is something I think that can really help with your research and analysis. This is also the end of the demonstration of these 2 visualization products. However, we also have other products and services that are available. So whilst I won't demonstrate these today, I just want to let you know what they are and how to access them. So the first is the data builder. So this is a web-based tool. It allows you to create your own data tables. It's fast, easy to use, and can be used by everyone from beginners to expert level users. The second is a tool called VoxStats, and this has similar functionality to the data builder, but has some added features which allow for more customization of the data for intermediate and expert level users. And lastly, we can produce data on request, including custom data tables and de-identified unit record files. So if you're interested in finding out more, please search for the Accessing Vet Data on the NCVER portal. So that concludes the webinar for today. I hope the information presented has been helpful. And if you do have any inquiries about our data, please use the email address on the screen or call NCVER on the number provided. So now I'd like to open things up for some questions from the audience. So I have one question in regards to whether it's possible to filter the dashboard by qualification and/or 6-digit ANSCO occupation classification. So I'll go back to the Atlas of Total Vet just for a moment. So in terms of the 6-digit ANSCO occupation of classification, what we're presented with here, I'll just find a chart with those occupations. So the data presented within this dashboard is only at the 4-digit level, unfortunately. So you can filter that by whatever you see on the screen. So for example, if the information is presented at 4-digit, that's what you can work with. There's no other option to go into more detail for occupations. We have another question, whether we can break the data down by course enrollment. So whether that's something specific like Certificate 3 in commercial cookery. So yeah, you can do that. So whenever you have a table like this available on the visualization with a program name, or maybe you've got a table in subject enrollments which has a unit of competency, you can search for those specifically. So for example, I can just type in SIT 30816, and that's going to filter all of the information just by that specific code. In terms of the international vet students, we've got another question whether this can also be done for that visualization. If I go back here, this one's a little bit different in the sense that you can't filter what you can see on the screen for every visualization. Only some of them can be done. So for example, subject enrollments by country of delivery, we can filter all the data on this page by selecting different countries, but we don't have the same functionality as the Atlas, where it allows us just to pick different data on the screen and then filter just by that. So this international vet students is a sort of what you see is what you get visualization. The only other ones would be you can select different years, and then if you have some of these check boxes over here, you can then filter the data in that way, but you can't apply. So for example, I can't apply all the data on this page to New South Wales just by clicking on it. It won't let me do that, unfortunately. Another question, they're training sessions around Data Builder and VoxStats. We do have some information on the NCVER portal about how to get started with those two visualization tools. So we can send those through via email after the webinar. And we also have one question about whether there are courses, where we can find out whether courses are apprenticeships or traineeships. Again, with international vet students, it's what you see is what you get. So for here, we're looking at the total vet activity data, and from memory, I don't think we do have whether they are an apprentice or a trainee. So that may be some information that if you're looking for that, you may need to use something like the Data Builder or VoxStats. So unfortunately, we've run out of time and we have to wrap up the questions. Thank you for attending this webinar, and I hope what you've seen today will help you with your research into the vocational education and training sector.